Hey, welcome to Watcher DM. I'm Gabriel. Today I am going to be continuing my exploration of the Tome of World Building by Matt Finch, Mythmere Games. And yesterday we explored, or I guess last video, which is 2 weeks ago, a week ago. I know how time works. I've been here before. We covered Chapter 2, Cosmic Matters. Arriving at some interesting results from the couple of tables in that section of the book. Today, we are going to dive right into Chapter 3, The World. I expect there to be a few more things to roll this time, but probably won't be until Chapter 4 that we start getting into the real meat and potatoes. I think this will be some high-level stuff here. So I'm going to start by turning my header into a page. We should be able to jump in and add in some additional questions and things like that. Before I get too much farther, I would like to ask you to hit the like button if you like these kinds of videos. Subscribe if you want to see more of these videos that I make. And then also hit the bell icon if you want to be notified when new ones come out. Again, every week. I think these come out on Sundays, around 10 a.m. Pacific. If you would like to get early access to these videos, you can do so by joining the Patreon at patreon.com/watcherdm, where you'll also get some exclusive content I make, mostly one-page RPGs, one-page dungeons, things like that, along with my writer Austin and my other friends in the creator space. And if you want to just check out WatcherDM content, you can go to watcherdm.com and sign up for our mailing list, where you'll get some really usable stuff every 2 weeks, a new mailing list of interesting, fun stuff to use at your table. All right. Let's dig in. So we got continents here. Looks like that is going to be our first point of concern. Real world continents, land area, not including internal water area of Earth's continents. So it says here, Europe has a land area of about 4 million square miles. Thus, it would contain 757 5-mile land hexes for a 430 by 430 hex map at the very minimum, because most maps contain water as well as land. In 30-mile hexes, Europe contains 5,132 land hexes, and the minimum size map would be 72 by 72 land hexes. Africa has about 12 million square miles. I get it. I think what it's doing here is it's trying to give us a sense of scale. What I'm finding really interesting about this actually is how small Australia is compared to Europe. I mean, these are all huge numbers, obviously. North America is 9.5. So that's really interesting. I wonder what the objective is. I guess what this is doing is giving you some kind of sizes to go with. You could say I want to do a 72 by 72 land hex area and get something roughly the size of Europe in terms of land mass. So that's an interesting point. It is also a stupid lot of... That's a lot of hexes. So let's talk about how many continents here. So it says we want to roll a D10 for number of continents. Let's go ahead and roll one. We have 5. 5 on this table. It says 3 continents intersect with 1 or more inner seas separating them. This is the model of the Mediterranean and the Red Seas. There are D3 plus 1 other continents separated from this grouping by a vast ocean. So this is, I think, very similar to our own world. So, you know what? I'm just going to take this result straight out of the book here. We're going to say, we're going to ask the question. Oh, wrong button. How many continents? And then we're just going to paste. Oh, I keep hitting the wrong button. Not that button either. My God. I use a Mac for my day job, and it always confuses me when I switch over to my Windows computer. There we go. There we go. So we get that in here, and this result is 5. Can we do that? We don't need that list anymore. All right, so we have 5 continents. Do we want weirder continents? So it says, I don't recommend getting too weird with the underlying physics or structure of the world, but if you're aiming for a unique feel, these ideas may be worth considering. I like unique feels. I get unique feels every day. Let's toss a 4 down and see what's up. We got a 3. Continents are separated by magical barriers, gates. These are probably banks of mist, but could be many other things. When you enter the offshore mist bank, you go somewhere, but it's not absolutely certain where you will end up. The correlation between entry and exit might be as high as 95% or as low as 5%, in which case travel is almost a random process. This changes your world map into something close to a point crawl. I kind of like that, but we're not gonna mess with it this time. Yeah, I'd be interested to see continents float in the air, small continents or disks that float in the water. That's kind of cool. Continents are normal, but what occupies the lower elevations isn't water. It might be a dangerous mist, it might be poison gas, or it might be an area of dangerously high gravity. Ooh. Here, it's not the continents that are unusual, it's the ocean. Oh, I really like that, actually. I think that's some really cool ideas there. It's too bad there's only 4 of them. I think you could probably, if pressed, come up with even more. And then he describes what a point crawl is, which is very nice, very kind of him to do. It's weird that he refers to this blog, but does not link to it. But, you know, that's how it goes sometimes. At least he gives attribution, I guess. The surface area of our own Earth is roughly 197 million square miles. Land represents about 57 million square miles of the total, and water represents about 140 million square miles. In terms of a hex map, where the centers of the hexagons are 30 miles distant, as in Darlene's Greyhawk map, the Earth would fit on a map of 503 by 503 hexes. That's really interesting to know. You know, that feels achievable, and yet I know that it's not. I know that it is not. What is 503 times 503? Let's run my calculator real quick. I'm going to run it. 530 times 530. It's 280,900 hexes. What would you do with that? 30-mile spans. Man. Of course, the difficult part of creating an accurate world map of a spherical planet is that spheres don't map directly onto flat surfaces. If you really want your map to eventually work properly as a globe, you might want to look up templates for maps for the Traveler RPG, because they have a projection-style hex map that can be downloaded. However, for fantasy world maps, I really don't recommend bothering too much with the distortion. Accuracy isn't the point, adventure is the point. That's a really good... I think that's an important characteristic here, and something that I like to lean on when doing my world building is I'm not worried about how the world is actually shaped or even how the land meets up with one another. Maps are made for humans to be able to track human things. They're always a representation. They're always faulty. And the resolution is going to be subpar. So I definitely prefer maps that tell stories about the people in the land, and not so much maps that reflect it exactly. Other than a sketch map, you won't need a detailed world map at the beginning of your campaign. That's absolutely true. And it's not likely that a group of adventurers will ever explore an entire world before venturing into other planes of existence, one way or another. I do recommend working up a sketch map, however, as your mapping efforts should be focused, though, is on the one continent where play is to begin. Okay, and then we go into, I think, a little discussion about scales. So we got linear scale, square grid, and then hex grid. Um, I prefer hex grids because they make it very easy for me to do travel. They can, it's really easy to say, hey, 30 miles, 30 miles, 30 miles. Like, you can pin out how long it will take in days for travel to occur. So that's nice. And then here he's talking about facts about hexagons, which is some geometry stuff. So you get your side, your radius, and your area as definitions, and then some stuff. Which is really interesting. I guess that the radius of a hexagon with 5-mile hexes is 2.5 miles. The area of the hexagon is 21.65 square miles, and the sides are 2.887 miles. Okay. That's some nerdy stuff to know, I guess. And yeah, it just says that it forgives you. It says go ahead and make mistakes here. I don't think we need to worry too much about that for our purposes today, but it's good to know that it's there. And then it starts talking about temperature zones and biomes. So temperature zones and biomes. Make that into one of these. So where's the equator? The exact size and dimensions of the world isn't very important for a fantasy game. When creating a map, it's useful to know when the climate would change from jungles and equatorial temperatures to pine forests and colder temperatures. Temperatures doesn't change solely because of latitude. Weather patterns such as warm water currents can have a significant effect as well. On our Earth, the distance from the equator to either pole is 207 30-mile hexes. Thanks. That's the measurement I like. Mythmere Games hex map pages have a north-south dimension of 30 hexes. Therefore, if there are 30, if these are 30-mile hexes, almost exactly 7 of them north to south are required to contain the distance from the pole to the equator of an Earth-sized world with a distance. Okay. Yeah, geez, that's so much. We don't need all that. We don't need all that. I think what I like am likely to do here is this is a little too high level. I want to talk about where my campaign is going to happen. So I think we're going to go in the boreal. I think we're just going to say there's a boreal biome or a temperature zone. A zone occupying roughly 1/7 of the distance from the equator, from the pole to the equator, between the subpolar zone and the cool temperate zone. 5 to 7 months of the year have temperatures below freezing. Love that. Temperature variations is extreme, from -50 in winter to 26 Celsius in summer. Boreal biomes are also often called taiga. They include terrains from deserts to coniferous, mostly spruce, forest. This is where you find reindeer, moose, elk, snow sheep, and bears. This is also the biome of the Siberian tiger, Amur leopard, wolves, and the lynx. Yeah, that sounds like a great place to adventure. Shortened version, gaming doesn't focus much on the details of flora, fauna, and temperature. Moreover, climates can vary a great deal based on factors that aren't easily mapped, such as aridity, water currents, altitude. Therefore, much easier way of handling the broad details that gamers do notice, such as parrots accidentally written into your Arctic biome, is to divide these temperature zones into Arctic, subarctic, cool temperate, warm temperate, and tropical. Fine. Use our hex maps, 7 between equator and pole, each being 30 hexes north to south. So this is the 30 hexes north to south is what we're going to get. What they're talking about here, I just want to highlight this, is at the end of the book, there is a page that is this hex page. Of course, I also have a template on my itch page that will let you do basically the same thing. And yeah, now we're going to get into catastrophes a little bit. I want to talk about some of the catastrophes. So Most fantasy gaming worlds have suffered a recent, get this in here, catastrophes. Suffer a recent global or regional catastrophe. And there are a couple of good reasons for this trope. First, it tends to place a magical world into a more medieval feel, since it was the fall of the Roman Empire that, in Europe at least, defined the change from the ancient world to the Middle Ages. The Middle Ages were characterized by a broad collapse of social order together with plagues and changes in climate that damaged agricultural capabilities. Secondly, putting a world-spanning catastrophe into your world's history helps to explain some of the oddities that are common in fantasy role-playing games, such as a common language, ruins everywhere, and the fact that magic hasn't solved all of society's infrastructure problems. The common language comes from world-spanning empires of the trade permitted by their presence. Ruins are the leftovers from a much more populous era, and magic hasn't solved infrastructure problems because it has only restarted working on them relatively recently. That's all fair. That's all fair. Let's roll on this table here. Let's see if we can get a root cause. So yeah, let's write root cause. And I'm gonna roll a D8. Let me get rid of we rolled a 7. Real world natural causes. Oh, I did that again. We rolled a 7. Real world natural causes. Climate change, viral pandemics, etc. Interesting. I really wanted to see some of this alien action, but I guess we're going to move past these to some real world natural causes. We're going to roll a D4. 1. Climate change leading to famines and social collapse. So real world natural cause. Roll a 1, which will be climate change. Oh man. Get out of here. Go. Put it here. Okay. Societal collapse because of climate change. Who could have seen that coming? Now, I think when we say climate change, I think in the modern parlance, we tend to think about it as global warming and climate change due to catastrophizing human developments and engagement. I think in the case of this particular fantasy project, I'm going to say that this climate change is, maybe, let's think about it for a second. Let's maybe make it, we already said it's going to be boreal. So maybe an ice age, right? So global cooling. And I don't think human activity probably has much to do with it. Maybe a volcanic eruptions and earthquakes would be its own kind of natural disaster. But I do want something that causes an ice age. I guess it could just be, an ice age. Maybe the sun is moving, or like the orbit is changing. Orbit is changing, causing distance from sun to increase. That could be pretty wild. Yeah, orbit is changing the sun to increase. Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, seems like we got where we needed to go. We've read chapter 3. We've looked through it. I think you can generate some interesting concepts out of this. I don't think there's too much, honestly, innocent use of magic table, nature of the disaster for divine action. But these all look like great tables, and maybe we'll come back to this in a future video and kind of explore some I'm of the mind having a few catastrophes in a row is usually like that's the juice for me. I like Dying Earth stuff where like lots of stuff has happened in the past and you can kind of dig through the layers of it. So maybe we'll explore that at another time. For now, I want to thank you for hanging out with me while I check out this book, the Tome of World Building. I enjoy doing this stuff. I hope you enjoy this new format. Please send it in the comments if you like it or you don't like it, or you think my face is stupid, or you like my face and you want to see it bigger. Whatever it is, please reach out. I'm making these so that I can explore these books that I love, and I hope that you're enjoying exploring them too. But if they help you or they hurt you or you want me to change what I'm doing or know more about a certain book or procedure, I hope you'll let me know. Cool. Thanks so much for playing, and I will see you in the next one.